All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Cheers, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of Bourbon and Booze. We have a special guest today, Alex Shaw from the
Whiskey Weight Loss.
Whiskey Weight Loss. So I'd seen his posts on a couple different sites and contacted him because I was intrigued, like, what's this whiskey? I could drink whiskey all day and lose weight if that's the case. And he's like, no, you got to do some other things. So tell us about how you came about getting into this whiskey weight loss thing.
Absolutely. So I've been into fitness most of my life, ever since being a kind of an overweight teenager. The kind of traditional origin story of personal training is I was a fat kid, and then I wanted to lose some weight, and then I fell in love with the gym. And then as an adult, I fell in love with whiskey. And it was really this case of, well, can I merge fitness and whiskey and make that like my career? Is that allowed? It doesn't seem like it's allowed. So anyway, this kind of evolved and grew, and then whiskey weight loss became born. It was this very cool concept where I can basically take all of my friends, all of the whiskey community, and help them understand how to lose weight without giving up whiskey. I think when you think of all of the traditional diets out there, right? Keto had its heyday a few years ago, and it was like, okay, no carbs, but also probably not alcohol. And then there was Whole30, and it's like only these things, but also like no alcohol. And then there was paleo, and it's like the cavemen didn't have alcohol, so you can't have that. So I saw all of my friends going through this over and over and over again, and it never stuck. And I was like, hey, like if you do these things, you can still drink. I'm not saying like drink a fifth every night. Like, we're not talking about that. But you know, you can still drink, have things in moderation. You can have a carb. It's okay once you understand these things, and you can lose weight. And you know, it's been really rewarding for me to be able to go through that, especially with people that I know within the community and strangers as well. But it's just been a blast. It's been really fun. The business is a couple years old at this point, and I've been in the fitness industry like 7 years. So it's just been cool to kind of see the evolution and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I noticed you have like a monthly sign-up type thing for a new group. So you do it in like class levels?
Kind of, yeah. So one of the things that I think makes the whiskey community so cool is the sense of community, the sense of we're in this together, picking each other's brains, comparing notes. Like, you know, even if we weren't recording this episode, like you and I could come share a pour and spend a few hours, and then I would stay the night because we definitely had too much for me to drive home. But so I do my program in cohorts, and the reason we do that, we have a small group. At the moment, I do 10 people, and once a month, and we go through this journey together. And that way, when we go through the process, we share our wins, we share our losses, we talk about what we're drinking on a Friday, all of that kind of stuff. And that, I think, really helps propel the process. I think weight loss is a really lonely journey a lot of the time.
Very lonely.
And it's, you know, hey, come join us for drinks and appetizers. And you have to go and you have to get carrot sticks while everyone else is grabbing sliders and wings. And that's a really sucky place to be. So understanding, you know, my coaching is like, okay, how can we enjoy that, you know, situation while still keeping our weight loss goals in mind, but also you have a network of people going through exactly the same stuff, having the same questions, and being able to bounce that back and forth, I think is really key for people to be able to not only like retain this information and implement it, but also just see the process through. Like, I think everyone likes to put a finish date on weight loss. Everyone's like 90-day challenge, 5-day cleanse. It's like, weight loss is a lifelong thing.
It is.
Maintaining your fitness and health, it's really important. So learning how to do it with years in mind as opposed to weeks, I think that's a mindset shift that people could benefit from.
Yes, I agree. You know, I kind of got into talking to you because I was a skinny kid. Then I got married to a Southern girl. And everything's deep fried, and not blaming her. I also got really sick in the military, and my medicine made me blow up, and I went up to 320.
Dang.
And so I've lost about 80 pounds since then, and I thought, hey, I'd call you and see what. Ended up, I'm doing exactly what you're saying to do.
Yes, what you were doing kind of overlapped with my philosophy already, which is fantastic, and the fact that you've lost 80 pounds and it's stayed off, I think is really testament to those kind of philosophies, and it makes a lot of sense to adopt them.
Yeah, your program definitely works. I would like to figure out where I could drink a fifth a night. But...
So that's the diet where you don't eat anything. Yeah. You just drink and pass out, and you can't eat if you pass out.
And eventually you die, so...
Right, yeah. I mean, the liver cancer will get you, but, you know, you lived a happy life at that point.
I'm going to leave all of his links down below. It's a great program. You guys should contact him. We actually met because we're in several different groups that are very community-minded, and I think the whiskey world is probably the best social network.
I think so. It's it's a place where, especially depending on the group, I think no one's a stranger, and everyone's like a whiskey shaman, right? They'll guide you through, and it's like, hey, I've drank Jack all my life. Like, where do I start? Right. And you've got 5 different people raising their hand and be like, come to a tasting at my house.
Yes.
And that sense of community is really cool. And you know, the whole reason I created Whiskey Weight Loss was so that if you're in a place where you need to improve your health and lose some weight, you don't have to miss out on that.
Yeah.
And understanding how to navigate that, like bottle shares, I think are a blast. They're so much fun. Everyone gets to try different things. And like, I want to empower my clients to be able to go, I know exactly what to do beforehand, during, and afterwards, where I can still have a fantastic time without it, you know, resulting in, you know, 10 pounds gained that year.
And I think the nice thing about whiskey, and kind of like wine, is when you're eating, you can pair it.
Yes.
And so you're doing a substitution of your calories, but you can pair it nicely with different foods. And
my wife and I, for Valentine's Day, we're going on a wine and whiskey pairing. Done by another member of the whiskey community. Okay. She owns a chocolate shop.
So I broke a cardinal rule. I'm such a bad person. It happens. We don't care about work.
We don't care about work. It's after 5 on a Friday.
Yeah.
We're not bothered by that. But yeah, so like, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind sharing a couple of things that you've done to, you know, go from where you were to where you are now?
So, exercise is a big problem for me because I do have some health issues. I got tuberculosis when I was in the military, and that's a lung disease that's had been historically fatal.
It's not fun.
Not fun. So I was on a special med, and it just made me blow up. And then, of course, moving to the South, having fried food, and I have allergies, so I can't really do a lot of cardio stuff. So what I did was I just decided, my wife and I had tried paleo and all of that stuff, and none of it worked. And what we decided to do is just portion control, try to not do processed foods, and just eat little meals throughout the day instead of one giant, and skip buffets.
Yeah, and I think all those are huge. And what I was hoping to do there is just pull some of the reasoning for why that stuff works for you.
It just helped. It's mind control for me. Not, you know, I don't get really depressed and stuff. So by staying healthy, I do walk a lot. Those are the things that I found that work for me. And then, you know, just a little bit every couple of days. People think I drink all the time, and I don't. Like, usually
it just feels like it sometimes.
It just feels like it.
So what I would say there, and I think a phrase you said was really important, it was you found what worked for you. And I think that is a problem with a lot of these programs out there. It's cookie cutter. It's, hey, we're going to take this diet and everyone is going to do it, regardless of whether they live in the country or whether they live in the city, regardless of whether they work at home or they travel for work. So a great example, in my current cohort, in the January 2023 cohort, I've got one person who flies across the country all the time. Half of his meals are in an airport. So understanding how to do that, like, that's something that not many people can understand intuitively. Like, Alex, how do I lose weight when every meal for like 4 days out of my 7 are being served to me at a restaurant or a Starbucks or something like that? So being able to navigate those situations. And then the flip side of it is, if you live in the country and you work from home, like, there's no gym close by. So it's like, okay, like, how do you navigate exercise? So part of my job as a coach, and what you've been able to achieve on your own, which is fantastic, is understanding what is going to work for my lifestyle and navigating all of the information that is out there when it comes to weight loss, and, pun intended, distilling it down into what is going to work.
What works for you and what makes you not only feel better, but mentally feel better. Because I see so many people, I have friends that are on fasting, and they just look miserable.
I understand the premise of fasting. It's not something that I've enjoyed. For some of my clients, it works. I'm not one of those people. No. It's
well, it works. Every diet we've ever done works
until it doesn't.
Yeah, short term.
And it's one of those things, and I actually have two programs, and we didn't talk about this. The first one is like a foundations of weight loss. It teaches all of the principles of weight loss, how to do it right, as opposed to how to do it quickly and wrong, and also setting a routine. I call that like building the foundation. Yes. Most people can muscle through 8 weeks of weight loss, regardless of the approach, whether it's fasting, calories in, calorie counting, whether it's paleo, whether it's keto. Like, you can muscle through something for 8 weeks. I like to try and set people up the right way, but the real work actually follows that. And it's understanding your own behavior patterns. And this is, like I said, a second program, understanding your own food triggers, understanding your routines, understanding your behaviors, and how to rewire yourself. Yeah. So a really good example was a client I was talking to recently. He would come home from work, pour a drink. He would come home from work, pour a drink. And what would happen is he would eat really healthy up to that point. And then he would have a few too many during that post-work relaxation, and then eat all of the food that evening. And it wasn't that he wasn't trying. He was trying so hard. And he was just basically setting himself in a routine, because coming home from work from him was a trigger, and the way he relaxed was drinking, maybe a little bit too much, as opposed to one of these guys up to here, or maybe like a mini Glen. It was 3 or 4 of these that tall. And I don't care how good your intentions are, staying away from the pantry full of not great food. Exactly. All that stuff that tastes really good after 5 whiskeys. When you do that every single night, it's just really hard. So understanding all of that and doing some self-reflection, that's how you make it stick.
Correct. Yes. I think that's one of the successes my wife and I have, is that we've figured out that portion and the trigger foods, like you said. There's certain foods that we know are going to cause problems. We're not gluten intolerant, but we know that gluten is hurting her because we're old. Yeah. So we're getting joint pains and stuff like that. And she's figured out, which kills me, she's not a big, can't eat pork because of the problems. And
got it.
I'm a chicken guy. I'd rather have chicken than beef or pork, but next is pork, then beef. Yeah. And so you got to figure out all of those things and still be able to be happy about it. Like,
absolutely.
If you're not happy with your diet,
you won't stick with it.
And so if you're a whiskey fan, this is the perfect diet for you.
Exactly.
But it's not just drinking whiskey.
It's not. That is definitely part of it. It's really it spans the whole thing. I used to be in commercial fitness. So I used to be, when you go to a big gym, there's some trainers walking around trying to solicit money from you. I was that guy for a little bit. And I was pretty good at my job, I'd like to think. But the issue is that whole business model is not very client-centered. You think about what the client needs to lose weight, what you needed to lose weight. It was understanding your behaviors and your habits. It was understanding portion control and nutrition. Right. A lot of it happened outside of the gym, right? You didn't exercise your way to 80 pounds off. You created a lifestyle change. Yes. And that was not easily done as a personal trainer walking around a commercial gym. That was actually much better done from an online capacity that I could then service anyone in the U.S. Anyone who's a whiskey drinker, whether you live in Kentucky, Tennessee, East Coast, West Coast, Wisconsin, it is open to everyone. And being able to craft that lifestyle change, that's how it sticks. If you put an end date on your diet and it's so hard that you can't wait for that end date, I'm sorry, like it's gonna come back. It's sad, but it's the unfortunate truth. Yeah. So
I like how you talked about glasses, because I drink these.
Me too.
Do this for the show. Drink these normal.
Yes.
Because you pour just a little bit in here, you're gonna keep pouring. A little bit in here, it's fine.
Absolutely. So I'll share the brain secret that goes into this. So our brains are wired to always fill something to the level we expect. So if you take this mini Glen, for example, we're generally going to fill it right to the part of the bulb.
Right.
When we have a normal Glen, we're going to fill it to this part of the bulb. If we had a highball glass and pour that same liquid in, it doesn't look right because it's not high enough. So then you keep going. And the same actually happens with plate sizes and bowls as well. When, like, there's a reason that fancy food on the giant plates with the tiny serving, there's a reason that looks weird. And it's because your brain is expecting a certain amount of white space.
Yes.
And when there's too much white space, like, our urge is to fill it. So with, like, if just shrinking your plate size, shrinking your bowl size, shrinking your Glen size, it does wonders. So to just moderate portion control. But the other thing that I think is wonderful is that it builds in a stopping point. So
Definitely.
We come home from work, we fill one of these guys up, we finish it. You have to get up and pour yourself more whiskey if you want more. And if you do, that's fine. But if you don't, you can just say, hey, I had one, like, I got my fill, and I'm good. If you filled a normal Glen to that same point, you're finishing that whether you need it or not.
Right.
And
I've done that too. I'm like, I don't want any more, but I gotta drink it.
Exactly. And you know, building in these stopping points, I think is a big thing. And I'll tell my clients on the food side of stuff, I love single serving snacks. So, like, I'm a big fan of beef jerky as a weight loss food. Costco does these, like, 1.25 ounce things. And it's great because you put a half pound of beef jerky in front of me and it's like, there's a 98% chance that it's all going.
That's when we travel and we buy them big beef jerkies while we're traveling, and next thing you know, it's all gone, and like, oh, I feel miserable.
Yes. So building in those stopping points, I think, has a real value, maybe shrinking the size of the Glen. And it doesn't mean you have to drink less. It just means you can if you want to. And I think that's a big part in being able to moderate what we do. I think it makes a big difference.
Well, I am very glad you came here, and I'm going to leave all the information down below and his links to his stuff, so you guys can definitely check him out. You can leave questions in the comments, and I'll post those for him.
Absolutely. I'll answer any questions you guys have. If you do want a little bit more information, you want to see like what my philosophy is about, Sam was nice enough to print this for me. So anyone that wants it, they can download the How to Lose Weight Drinking Whiskey Guide. It's a little guide that I've put together that just kind of branches out into some of the few things that you can look at doing to get this ball rolling, to start the journey and figure out if maybe this program is something you're interested in, and if it is, I would love to hear from you.
And it's a great conversation starter, because I had it at work, and all the people were like, what the heck is that? Yeah, so leave your comments below. I'm glad that you are here, and hopefully you come back sometime. In fact, actually, you got more time, we'll do some reviews.
We absolutely can. So I'd love to.
Maybe with this, we're drinking the Smoke Wagon Rye.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. So we'll do a couple reviews so you guys can watch those in the coming days. And yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.